Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Welcome back, brothers and sisters in Islam and everyone, to Halal Intimacy. Apologies for the delay. There has been a lot going on, alhamdulillah, lately, in a good way, inshallah. You would be informed about new projects coming up, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. Please make dua for me, inshallah. But for now, let's get back into the book of Ustadth Abdullateef, Abdullahi, Halal Intimacy. I skipped few chapters which I found them to be related to the previous episode about seduction. So I'm not going to repeat that or add all those tips. I would advise you kindly to go purchase the book and read them for yourself, inshallah. But today, inshallah ta'ala, is a very essential topic which oftentimes couples will reach out asking for guidance and clarification around it, and that is oral sex. So let's get into it, inshallah, and see what Islam says and taught about this very important topic. First of all, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, within the Sharia, within the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, there is no direct prohibition regarding oral sex. However, the scholars of Islam have classified it as makruh or disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of a moral and health reasons. For moral reasons, because Muslims should conduct and behave in certain expected ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed in the Quran, and it was demonstrated in the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the early generations. And for health reasons, because there are a lot of medical reports and research that have shown the danger and the harmful effects of oral sex on our health. Not only that, but some people may even develop sexually transmitted diseases as a result of oral sex, in the same way how other people who indulge in unprotected sexual activities may carry the same diseases. Even though experts have argued that transmitted sexual diseases is higher in unprotected sex than oral sex, yet the chances are still there. That's why the majority of the scholars will go with the opinion that it is absolutely haram, completely prohibited, or makruh, highly discouraged. The mouth and the tongue, my brothers and sisters in Islam, were created for a higher purpose, and that is to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala much, to pray, to read the Quran. So how could that same mouth do other things which are looked at as morally low? That's why, my brothers and sisters in Islam, when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was approached by a man telling him that the fara'id, the obligatory duties of Islam, became too much upon him, he couldn't bear the obligations anymore, so he was asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to simplify things. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him what? Keep your tongue moist with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why the tongue was created, to remember Allah much. So the scholars would look at it from that perspective. How could that same tongue go that low and indulge in activity that is not befitting for a believer, is not befitting for a person with that higher standard and high expectation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the tongue should be always moist, not for anything else other than the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and speaking that which is good. Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan had recognized that there is no specific or clear-cut evidence from the Quran or from the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that prohibited oral sex. He recognized that. But he said that this is also an act of a dog, of an animal. And this is exactly what dogs do before approaching their mates. And we are higher beings. We are created better and higher than any other creation. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created human beings in the best mold ever. So how could we go to this level and indulge in such activities? But please also bear in mind that scholars who have taken makruh as the valid opinion regarding this issue, and let me remind you what is makruh. Makruh is an act that if you indulge in it, if you performed it, you are not sinful. Allah is not going to punish you for it. However, if you abstained from it, is way better and much rewardable. Those scholars who have taken that opinion, they allowed couples to engage in oral sex provided of two things. Number one, no partner should force the other on any of these activities. So long as both partners are in agreement, then it is permissible. Number two, no partner should ever swallow or consume the liquid that may come out of the private parts of either of the spouse. So it's very, very important to keep this in mind, that even though scholars may allow or give a room of permissibility of engaging in oral sex, there are conditions that you should also look into so that you can maintain your dignity, your respect as human beings, as that higher being that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. It is the best of all creation. But I want you to see how the scholars looked at the matter, view it, wrote about it, talk about it in their lectures for our own guidance. For example, Shaykh al-Fawzan mentioned that if sex itself, if intercourse itself is permissible between lawful husbands and wives, then whatever less than that, whatever less than the intercourse itself, the penetration, should be also permissible. And as a result of this, he took the opinion that oral sex is actually permissible. And this opinion is actually taken from Imam al-Qurtubi and in his tafsir on Surah Al-Ahzab. So if intercourse itself is allowed between spouses, between lawfully married spouses, then anything less than that, the kissing, the oral sex, would be also or should be also made permissible. Imam al-Qurtubi, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him, when he was asked about lustful speech between spouses, he said if intercourse, again, if intercourse itself, if penetration of the private parts is permissible between a husband and wife, then anything less than that is also permissible. So lustful talk, go back to seduction episode to just understand how these things could spice up a little bit the relationship between spouses for the benefit of the halal part of the relationship, so that we don't look outside the boundaries of marriage. The main problem for me personally, my brothers and sisters in Islam, is that there are many people, Muslims, married, lawfully married under the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are engaging in these oral sexual activities because they've learned it from pornography. And if that's your main educator regarding sex, then you definitely will end up in a very unpleasant place. So this is the problem. If we can educate ourselves about the activities that can enhance our sexual relationship, enhance our health as well, and maintain our dignity and respect as Muslims, no one should force the other on any act, then inshallah ta'ala we'll find pleasure in every move. But if you are influenced by pornography, then everything associated with it will be haram. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. I hope that this episode have shed some light on one of the always less talked about subjects among the Muslims especially. So I hope that this have offered a little bit of guidance, but it's not everything that you need to learn. You need to enhance your knowledge in this area as well. Please seek out scholars regarding this matter. Don't just take my words for granted. This is just sharing the knowledge of what has been written about the subject, sharing perhaps experiences with people who have suffered a lot as a result of not being able to function sexually in an appropriate Islamic manner. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us safe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our homes. And inshallah ta'ala leave your questions and comments in the box provided below this video. And don't forget please to share the video with your circle and perhaps subscribe to the channel if you didn't already. And we'll see you next episode inshallah ta'ala. Make dua for me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.